This video is brought to you by shirts. Shirts! I have them now. But wait, because this video is also brought to you by next week's top 10, which is going to be the top 10 special animations as chosen by you guys, the BBS community. Simply click the link in the description below, which will take you to a poll where you can vote on your favorite special animation. Be aware that it's not a vote for the best special, as that list already exists. This is simply for the actual animation and not the effect that comes afterwards. Simply vote, and by this time next week, I'll be able to create a top 10 list using your guys' votes. But you only get one. So go ahead and pause the video and vote now, or vote at the end of the video. Or, you know, sometime in the middle. Just as long as you vote, and you share it with your grandparents and tell them to vote too. Also, due to the nature of this video, and the fact that most of these characters aren't exactly good, this video may not be as long as some of the others. Just a heads up before I get into it. With all that said, let's begin.
Jitta 様の実力を見せてやる。つまりジンサオーブランイヤハー
Kicking things off, we have Jitta, who, if I'm being honest, sucks. But considering I'm taking everything into effect in this video, I did want to put him at number 10 because he has such a useful link. Last Ditch Survival wasn't all that useful a few months ago, as it only left you with 1 HP if an attack were to kill you. What it does now is a lot more useful. It brings people back from the dead with 20% of their health, and allows them to carry on. This is infinitely useful in things like Senkaimon Quest, where you can only take one character, and super useful if you were to auto with a healer, because when the characters come back they have all their strong attacks again, and they can heal themselves back up. Other than that though, this character sucks. As far as attack and SP goes, he's actually pretty average when it comes to the metal exchange characters, but his strong attacks are slow to activate, and he doesn't even have Sprinter. Still, I didn't feel he should be left off the list because of what he contributes to the game. Next up on the list is one of the more creative characters K-Lab has ever put out. I'm talking about Kid Nell. I say creative because of her attacks, her special consisting of some of the other characters in this game, and some of her strong attacks use either Dondochaka or Peshe. Not to mention her normal attack looks ridiculous, but in a very fun way. As for her actual attacks though, they do have pretty decent range, aside from her special, and she has a damage reduction link, which is one of the more useful links in this game when it comes to autoing or PvP. You know, it is kind of strange that we have more adult Nells in this game, even though Kid Nell gets the most screen time. Who knows, maybe we'll see her again in a season. Next up is the tiny devil version of Rukia. Honestly, Nell and her can kind of be interchangeable on this list, as they both have damage reduction soul traits and they have very similar normal attacks. And while Nell does have the slightly higher stats and the better bruiser and berserker, Rukia does have the faster attacks and she has a bit more abilities, including devastation and weaken attack on her special. Also, both her strong attacks and special have better range. Other than that, there's not much more I can say about this character, other than her special is one of my favorites. Next up is a character who showed up way too late in this game, Ganju Shiba. While his stats are slightly lower than the average metal exchange character, he is the first one on this list so far to have a Soul Reaper killer, which is the best killer in the game. He's also got a plus 30 bruiser and a plus 30 berserker, as well as a plus 30 devastation. But the real reason he's on this list is because of his strong attacks. His strong attack 1 and 3 have excellent range, the third one being a full screen with the chance of inflicting burn, and his strong attack 2 being a vortex move. And it's really nice to have some variety with that vortex move. Also, he's one of the few metal exchange characters who, if he had better stats, could actually be a pretty decent character, since he has a decent link and decent abilities. Next up on the list is the newest metal exchange character, Annette, who's actually got some of the more decent stats when it comes to the metal exchange characters. She's also got a vortex move for her strong attack 2, and a Soul Reaper killer, much like Ganju. And while her strong attack 3 isn't a full screen, it's close enough. Honestly, the reason she made it so high up is because of the stats. Obviously they're not super high, but as far as metal exchange characters go, they are up there. Next up is Ichigo's boss, Ikumi, who, and this is true, in my files, I actually have her as boss lady since I can't remember her name. She's actually one of the more interesting Metal Exchange characters. Partially because it's a character that we really didn't expect since we hardly ever saw her in the show, and she really doesn't play that much of a relevant role. Still, the reason she's very interesting is the fact that she made it this high up on the list with one of the lowest SPs in the entire game. And I mean the entire game. Because I checked, and this is also true, there are over 25 4-star characters with a higher SP than her, which is actually kinda sad. Still, she has a damage reduction link and a Soul Reaper killer, and one of the higher attacks for a Metal Exchange character. She's also got decent range on all of her attacks, including her normal attack. Not to mention that her special is actually really good, as it's full screen, inflicts debilitating paralysis, and heals the entire team, as well as does damage, though it's really not that much damage since her SP is so bad.
すみません。ちょっと死んでもらえますかね。
Next up is another Technic human, Mowing, who's one of the few characters I actually recommend you guys get at least 3 of, since his soul trait increases the amount of crystals and jewels you can get, and it's something you'll be doing the entire game. And I'm not gonna lie, that is the main reason he made it so high up. After all, his stats are kind of low, even for a Metal Exchange character, though he does have some redeeming stuff. That being long reach, a plus 30 bruiser, a plus 30 berserker, a soul reaper killer, and a strong attack 3 that boosts the entire team, actually increasing the attack, defense, and focus by 33%, and allowing for 10 seconds of actual decent damage. After those 10 seconds though, this character goes back to sucking. Still, it's those redeeming qualities and the great link that put him so high up on the list.
行くぜジダンボ波動の63来候補
You know, I'm just now starting to realize how many Metal Exchange characters have a Soul Reaper killer. Not complaining, just noting that I'm just now realizing it. And such is the case with the next character. Kukoc has pretty average stats when it comes to the Metal Exchange characters, and she has a plus 30 bruiser and berserker. Though honestly, if you increase this character's stats, she would actually be a great character, as all of her strong attacks have excellent range and a chance to inflict burn, not to mention that her full screen special inflicts paralysis. She's also got decent range on her normal attack, and they hit pretty quickly. I actually really hoped that when this character came out, she would be an actual character, and not a Metal Exchange one. Still, she is one of the better ones.
行くよ歯ごたえねえな
Next up is probably the only Metal Exchange character that can actually put up a fight, if only for half the time. I'm referring to Tatsuki, who has the highest attack out of any Metal Exchange character at 577. And while that may not be that high, in terms of overall characters, she does have a boost move, and she has Enhancer, which increases her attack by 33% up to 767 for 20 seconds. Not to mention, she's also got a plus 30 bruiser and an add link of 20, increasing her overall attack by 50%, which means that for 20 seconds, she would actually do decent damage, you know, and then revert back to okay damage. Still, it's because of this that she ended up at number 2 on this list.
責任は俺が取る。消化は任せたぞ。
Finally, we have Akon, who actually has quite a few useful things. Sure, Tatsuki might do more damage, but his link is one of the most useful ones, as it increases the amount of crystals and jewels you get at the end of the level. Not to mention, as far as stats go, he's also got some of the better ones of the Metal Exchange characters. Plus, he has a Bruiser and Berserker at 30%, and some pretty useful strong attacks. In addition to being all range, his strong attack 2 is a Vortex move that has a chance to inflict paralysis, and his strong attack 3 has a chance to inflict burn, and it's full screen. To mention that his special is also full screen and can also inflict burn. And while yes, we do have another crystal drop character on this list, Akon is better as he is ranged, and he's a neutral color, meaning that he'll always deal decent damage and never reduce damage. Plus, his assortment of abilities means that if you have to, you can actually use him in some other stuff and get away with it. He is also a character that you should probably have more than one of. Thank you guys so much for watching. Once again, if you haven't voted, please go vote for the coolest looking special in your opinions, and I'll try to have that out by next week. Also, keep in mind, it's the coolest looking special. It doesn't matter if that character is your favorite or not, or if that character is even good or not. It's just the coolest looking special, or the funniest looking special. In general, just your favorite looking special.